Hello, 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 hello. Time to continue this masterpiece. Man, I'm like fucking... which one is this? I think both are the same. Guess there's going to be more levels where you like fight for like 2 hours. But this place looks nice. At the very least. Alright. Same enemies again. Hello Senzu, how's it going? Alright, cool. Hello Couch, how's it going? Hello, hello. You know, upscale like this PlayStation 2 game looks like a kinda good looking PS3 game, you know what I mean? Hello Kittenville, 2 days of streaming, that's crazy, I know. I don't even understand why I'm doing this. Yeah, it is kinda hot. Yeah, it was like 34 degrees for me. I think the issue with this game is that it's only combat, you know? One, thank you. Give me this. Can you like... Okay, Tail Strike is like... Cool. Well, how do I go up? Wait, is that like I can climb this up? Oh. Have I been here before? What the... Whoa. Dude, they got contraptions and shit. I watch anime and manga, life could be worse. I am watching a lot of House. I'm going to finish House soon. I'm like 7 episodes into the last season. It's still pretty good. I got pissed off at like the middle of season 6. It was very boring. But then it got much better. I'm not going to say anymore because I know Kittenville watches House also.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Does that mean what I think it does?
Yeah, we've got to help him.
Oh, brother.
Have you seen the offer of Inyo Asano of Oyasumi Pun Pun? I think every year he makes a...
Just about to spring into action, huh?
Forget this guy, Spyro. Come on.
What did they want with you, anyway?
It's none of your business. Now move. I've got a tribe to save.
Oh, you're welcome.
Why Sparks that shithead? Okay. No. What the fuck? What? Frick et DHD.
Here we go.
I should get some Adderall. It's been a year since I've taken some. Now I cannot do shit. I'm a drug addict, you know. La Ritalin. Visuals that I don't think Ritalin was even working for me at this point. I would take some Ritalin and then I would just go to sleep. You know, take a nap. It's like, what the hell? Boom. Please don't die. I'm not gonna die. I'm alive. Please live. We will all keep on living, okay? Chopper crying gif emoji. Alright. No way, more enemies? I didn't expect this. Credit where credit is due, they actually tried when it comes to the combat. Which I didn't expect out of Spyro. Except that Spyro is a platformer series, it's not a hack and slash series. With Lord of the Rings aesthetics. You know? Peter Jackson. Okay, so what does it change about my life? That I can go here. No. Oh, you gonna... Oh. Okay. I wonder if the other games, the sequels, are like more open, maybe. I think like each game is made by a different studio. At least I know the third game is made by a different studio. That is called Étrange Libellule. It's a French studio. And the third game was actually released on PS3 and 360. But I think it's also on PS2. So it should be fine. GTA 6 like... This makes no sense, but I'm scared. What? Well, I have to do this again. Is the second game open? No way. You know, I was actually thinking of streaming Rayman Origins instead. Because I got Rayman Origins, the PC version. New enemies. I know that Rayman Origins levels are in Legends, but I'd rather play the game as it comes from. Hello, Look Look. How's it going? You know, it's better to have an original experience, like instead of like Origins bonus levels. Wait, wasn't there a leak like they're going to remaster Origins? And they're also remaking Legends. And we know they're remaking Legends, but I think they're putting like some remastered edition of Origins. What the fuck? I need to be in a good state of mind for playing all your games. With this heat and everything, I am mind broken. That's the only kind of game I can play right now. Let's go. I can only play simple things. Bah. Okay. I'm still not getting used to Spyro's design. He looks so scary. The Switch 2, hein? T'as quoi, Rhythm Heaven? God, I wish I could play Rhythm Heaven. Oh yeah, Shinsekai, I wanted to stream it when I played another game. But it's still in the plans. Is this a trap? But yeah, Shinsekai, you're right. Wait, I thought he would fall into a trap. Oh yeah. Okay, that's kinda sick. Oh. If it was a more recent game, Sparks would talk constantly. Oh shit. Microsoft just laid up half of their papers. And they realized we sabotaged all the Xbox games. It was our fault. We did this. Dude, they got physics and everything. Bridge physics. Yeah, they cancelled the sequel to Avowed and they put the team Obsidian on Fallout. Because they made Fallout New Vegas. I always thought it was like Eternal... Oh, you bought a U Series X? What are you going to play with it? I would like a Series X so I just could play the original Ninja Gaiden 2, you know? Oh, 3 years ago. Alright. This sounded like the William scream for a second. That's a pretty good price. Sick. Help. He's here for Gears of War E-Day, day one. Man, if this game bores me too much, I'm going to play some Outrun 2 instead. I still need to get into the Gear series. I didn't realize there were like 7 games. There's a shit ton of them. Hello Senagi, how's it going? Hello, hello. We're talking about Gears of War. Gears of War 1 and 2 was like the kind of system seller games that made the 360 like shit on the PS3 at the time. You know what I mean? And like if you wanted to have like fun multiplayer games, like or just games in general, there was no question at the time the 360, at least like in the first half of the generation. The 360 was like embarrassing Sony in every way. Unfortunately, Xbox is no position anymore, so they can do anything like stop physical production now. But it was because of a 360 that like Sony woke up, you know. It was because of Microsoft eating their lunch that they're like, okay, we have to like cut the price, we have to release the PlayStation 3 Slim, we have to put so many investments into video games, you know. But now we don't have this anymore. We don't have this kind of competition. Who is threatened by Microsoft? Nobody, bro. Halo 3. I remember the news of Halo 3. Like it was like Halo 3 was like bigger than like the release of theatrical movies in cinema, you know? Or something like this. It was the news at the time. They would say something like this. Like it was bigger than the cinema entertainment. Like it was the biggest launch of all time or something. NYC when you drove with your cousins? When they were like midnight lunches? Yeah, it must have been massive. Microsoft really cornered the American market, you know? Do you know how bad things are that I have to like praise the PlayStation 360 era? Now there are people that are nostalgic about it, you know? Like it was their first real console. So like if you say anything bad about the PlayStation 360 era, they're acting like you insulted their childhood. So you cannot say anything now. Like verifiable things about that generation. MGS4 is the reason I got a PS3. But if I knew I would have gotten a 360, I'm sorry. MGS4 wasn't worth missing out on Dead or Alive 4, Ace Combat 6. Please stop. I'm hurting you. I'm hurting you, I'm sorry. What were 360 games I really wanted back in the day? It just had like some really cool Japanese exclusives, like back then. I mean, Dead or Alive 4, you couldn't beat Dead or Alive 4 back in the day. Yeah, Lost Odyssey, Blue Dragon, yeah. No, I would have rather gotten 360 for these games. PlayStation Home. Maybe today we still got some cool stuff like Wipeout. You know, it was like Wipeout Fury or something, 2048. No, 2048 is the Vita game. In the Theater Discovery The Last Remnant, yeah. Thankfully they released it on PC. Kawazu was ahead of the curve. When Square Enix was stuck on Crystal Tools, he released The Last Remnant on Unreal Engine 3. How do I get there? PC port! Well, it's owned by Microsoft, so I don't know. I hope they can make it happen. Lost Odyssey should be played by many more people. Fuck. Elijah Wood
It's okay. We
Scream.mp3.
can try again.
It is a good title. I think the game is buns apparently. But I gotta try it for myself. Enchanted Arms also have to play. I think it's Look that told me, was it? No, it was Alan Wake. They have the president from their American make game from Software as like a playable character in Enchanted Arms.
We're going
Yeah,
to have
I
to use
played
the
the last story.
water
I barely remember anything, but I played that game. Oh, Alan Wake, how's it going?
Oh, it's never easy.
Yeah, I still remember when you taught me about all the cool stuff in Enchanted Arms. It's a mess, but I loved it. Yeah, that's my kind of game. I gotta play it for sure. What the? I'm not sure. Where is David Spade in this game? I have no idea. But I think he's there for the entire trilogy. I swear they repurposed the Wilhelm Scream. They like remix the Wilhelm Scream for these enemies. They just made Spyro with like Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson, Lord of the Rings aesthetics. Hack and slash God of War combat. And the combat is pretty good, just that's the only thing you do, that's the problem. Oh shit. What the? Look at this. Look at this shit. Bravely Default is a great game. Square Enix did not even want to release Bravely Default in the West. And I think Nintendo ended up publishing the game. And in the end it ended up outselling because they were launching Lightning Returns at the time. On like 3 platforms, right? And it ended up selling better than Lightning Returns. Only on the 3DS. Like it was like more than a million seller or something. Okay, I don't think I should be here. So it's crazy that we are still on that turn-based video game discussion when we already know the appeal of turn-based video games anyway. We know because we already saw what happened with Bravely Default. I mean, I know it was the third game in like a trilogy of Final Fantasy games, but it was still a mainline game in a way. Like the sequel to a mainline game. And a new IP outsold the mainline game, you know, like. Because it was that good. It has issues, but it was that good still. It had sauce. I did play some of Bravely Default 2, but I got kinda bored, I have to be honest. I did not play second though. Two on Switch. Oh, maybe I should give it a second chance or whatever. It's on PC now, right? I'm not buying anything on the PlayStation anymore. Fuck them. My PS5 is dead weight now. Hell and foolish. All my homies hate PlayStation. PlayStation doesn't even have games to announce. They don't even announce game. They just tell you that games are going to be closed. You know? They just say no, we don't want you to play video games anymore. Because they know that most of their revenue now is DLCs and microtransactions from like Fortnite and Roblox. It's over. They're not in the business of making games and making people buy them. This is not their business. Yeah, games in the console market are effectively over. They are not a video game delivery company, they are a DLC and microtransactions delivery company. And what they're working on is that they want that the DLC to be from them, their microtransactions. So they gain on the free 40% margin back, you know? 60% margin, I mean. Well, I mean, PlayStation, the PlayStation company. I mean, the PlayStation division. Okay. What can I level up? Is it fully upgraded now? Oh yeah, their memory cards. You now have a Fury of Ishlandur's final stand. Okay. That's the reason the Vita failed, because they wanted to prevent piracy or something, so they had proprietary memory cards or whatever. Well, they wanted money also, but yeah. But memory cards, proprietary memory cards, played a big role in like messing up the health of the Vita. Well, I think Memory Stick Duo was also used for their cameras or whatever. What's happening? Well, I understand that the PSP was a big issue in terms of piracy. I think at the end of the lifespan of the PSP, they couldn't sell games anymore because everyone was modding their PSP. So they were just releasing games for people to like download online. Because it was such a widespread phenomenon. Welding itself to a contact, holy shit. It's kind of the end of video games, console gaming as we know it, I think. Nintendo, at least Nintendo will be fine at least.
Kane!
He died. Wait, he actually... Oh. Wait, he actually died.
Yeah, I know the guy's an ingrate, but you gotta do something, and fast.
Whoa, ice powers! Yeah, same! You know? And just to please Senzo, I want to tell you that I bought vampire colors,
Buddy,
just for you.
Weirder and weirder by the second.
I was thinking of you when I press the buy button. Okay, what does it do? Okay, let's go back to ice. You know what, you guys piss me off. Holy shit! Senzu, you hate fun. I'm sorry to say, you hate fun. Okay? He's a generational hater of epic proportions. Nice. What other games did I get? Let me check. On Steam. I got Just Cause 1, Styx Master of Shadows, Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition, Blood Rain Terminal Cut, UFO 50, Marble World. I don't even know what Marble World is. But I thought it looked cool. And Vampire Crawlers. DD Blood Rain. I do have prototype already. I played on stream for like two hours. Oh yeah, it's releasing soon, Black Flag Resynced. I do have the original game, I haven't played it yet, so I think I would rather play the original game, I think. Since I bought it, you know. Okay, what does this do? Oh. Ouch. Wait, wait, I'm trying to like throw it to you. Oh shit. Where is Pharaoh and New Era? It's like a city builder like that was on the people were talking about on the Discord. Maybe I should have gotten this game. Now the sale is over, but it's over. No, it's still going. Pharaoh. A remake of the original Pharaoh. Those are good. Maybe I should get into city builders. Have chill games, you know? Is there anything here? Am I winning? I'm doing alright. What the hell? What the fuck?
Too easy.
Wait. Yeah, give me all that stuff. What the hell? More than one combo, I don't know. But you can like do different stuff, I guess. You can do this. And then, you know, stuff like this. Yeah, you can do some cool stuff like throw, like, you know, like ramming into enemies and like it hits other enemies and stuff. You can do this even like in mid-air combo. I wonder if the Toys for Bob new Spyro game is going to have stuff like this. I also have a mine thrower. Bon. The combat is not bad, it's just that's all there is. Switching from the original recruiters to the global labor pool like the other Impressions game city builders. Where does it change going from a global labor pool? Do you have like indeed job listings in ancient Egypt? How was your PS2 surviving these effects? Fucking die. You are mean. What's your problem, Senzu? Be nice. Standalone complex was good, bro. This series was a ton of fun. Maybe we need to select a recruiter walker and we hire from the houses it passes by. It's a random walker so you don't go past roadblocks. Okay, I see. The orange Ghost in the Shell. Oh my god. What was he smoking, man? It's orange. This is my updated masterpiece. Ghost in the Shell but orange. No, it's okay, Senzo, it's the heat getting to you. Well, every level takes like 1 hour and a half. Bon. You're forced by the game to make ghettos. Well, it was like 14 hours before the sale ends. Maybe I'll get it, I don't know. Pharaoh, it's called. I was thinking of playing the SimCity games. I've seen too many streamers play Tomodachi Life. I cannot even think of characters I would want in my island. It does seem more fun than Animal Crossing New Horizons though. But Animal Crossing New Horizons is like... Because of COVID we've got... we hallucinated that Animal Crossing New Horizons was good. Maybe it's good with the expansion, I don't know. It was perfect for COVID. But this game after like 3 weeks you're like, oh my god, this sucks, well there's nothing. But yeah, it was great for COVID, yeah. It was a perfect COVID release game. I remember I was on Resetera and there was like a forum thread where there was a poll. Who between FF7 Remake or Animal Crossing New Horizons would sell more? And they voted for FF7 Remake. They genuinely thought that FF7 Remake would defeat Animal Crossing. This was when I knew everyone was insane. Whoa.
You again? Why don't you get out of here and leave me in peace? I'm the boss here, nobody else.
Boss of what?
Shh. You're all alone?
Only until I kick these bums out. Which reminds me, I can't stand here chatting with purple dragons and mosquitoes.
Hey, whoa, who you calling a mosquito?
Besides, it's
Dragonfly.
not safe for you here.
Oh, concerned about our welfare now?
No need. We can take care of ourselves. Anyway, we need to get to the shrine.
You'll never make it.
Yeah, couch is very funny. They were like, we have to buy FF7 remake 3 times to save a project or something. It's like, what? They'll be fine, it's okay. Dragon Quest Builders is amazing. It's my favorite type. Like of this kind of games. Dragon Quest Builders 2 is like the best one. But I haven't tried Pocopia. Pocopia does look fun. Does look fun. And I'm happy that it sold very well apparently. I'm happy for them. It's a system seller. Can you believe this? I should have said that. It is super impressive. But it's cool that they're putting more games on Switch 2. Now Switch 2 is the new target console for everyone to aim. You know? And it's good for everyone that it's the case, in my opinion. If a game is targeting the Switch 2, this means it can run on your PC. Even if your PC isn't very good. And that makes a big difference in my opinion. Switch 2 will take off. The issue is that they'll have to commit to like price increases again. Because of, you know, the AI stuff. That's the thing that is hurting everybody. Which is, you know, unfortunate. But yeah, the Switch 2 is a good piece of console. They didn't like apparently except the screen, like they didn't like skimp out on stuff, you know, like the hardware. Like the Switch was old before it started, the Switch 1. What's he doing here? That was annoying. The screen is not bad, it was made to annoy John Lineman specifically. Anyone who has experienced a CRT in the last 2 weeks, it's made to annoy them. But apparently they're maybe making a version with a better screen or whatever, I don't know. Then make a Switch 2 OLED, and then the Switch 2 will be mine. I'm good staying on PC for the foreseeable future anyway. I've always been more of a PC gamer ever since like 2012. I didn't have a PS4. I bought a PS5 to play PS4 games. Yeah, I guess so, Gravity, but I started on console, I just I don't know, I guess I got more into PC after a while. And especially at the time, like starting from like 2013, if you wanted to play some Japanese games, you could only play them on PC. Like Is. Oh no, they were on PSP also. No, my bad. Well, the kind of Japanese games I wanted to play were on PSP or PC. Oh yeah, you're playing Is too. I don't know where to put this. Oh. Commodore 64? Yeah, MSX. MSX2 had a Snatcher. PC 98 had Police Notes. You know another great Falcom game that was on PSP? It was Brandish. I guess it's a remake of the first Brandish game, I think. But Brandish on PSP is so good. They released that game in like 2014. I think. Like in the West. A PSP game in like 2014. They are insane. In a good way. Was it 2014? No, maybe I'm smoking crack. Maybe it was 2010. Well, 2010 the PSP was still around. But yeah, Europe liked... They liked Amiga, Commodore, and they also liked Sega. I don't remember if it was the Genesis or the Master System that was more popular in Europe than in the USA. No, I think it was the Master System, maybe. I have to be honest, I'm so ignorant when it comes to Sega games. Like Master System and Sega is Game Gear, right? Please don't make fun of me. Yeah, Game Gear. I barely played any Sonic games, which is why I know that I'm not a furry, because I haven't played Sonic games. If I played Sonic games, I would be a furry. But it's like irrefutable proof that I'm fine. The widest thought on the wish list. Well, I did not buy the game, so I'm fine. Yeah, it started in Hawaii. I think that I have Sonic Origins Plus, so I can play the first games. And then we'll see about the 3D games.
The Shrine God has not been appeased since Cinder's forces came. He is not happy.
So is anybody fun around here?
You can't possibly face the God of the Shrine alone.
Not all of us are loners, King. I'm not going alone.
Ooh.
Well, maybe someday you'll learn that two heads are better than one. Even if they are pinheads.
Yeah, what?
Why people hate Sonic City? What I cannot get my head around is that there's Sonic 3, and then there's also Sonic 3 in Knuckles. And apparently they are two different games.
I'm not sure I like the looks of this thing.
No, now you tell me.
Boss fight. Couch, thank you for explaining, it makes a lot of sense. They're like two-parters. And I think in the remasters of the Sonic games they added characters to play. Like you can play as Tails or something. In like the old games. That's pretty cool. Couch is super cooked. Kingdom Hearts and Sonic fan. Yeah, he's going to super hell, but you know, I try to be nice to him. Yeah, shoot, but I don't know how to fight Riku. He's cracked. Come enjoy LARPing. That's me. Is Crabo playing the GBA version or the Recon version? A hard deadline because of McDonald's column. Okay, but like, what is the best Sonic 3? Is it Sonic 3 or Knuckles? They also made a shit ton of spin-offs, right? They have a Sonic Blast, a Sonic Pinball. I love this. I love when they do like pinball-themed video games. You know, there's a Pokemon Pinball. What do you mean you want to play? So, but I still have to play Sonic 3, right? Since it's a different game. Metroid Pinball. Was it on DS? Oh shit. fuck?
Let's keep trying.
You'd be replaying the first half of the game, okay. Bon. Sonic 3 then Sonic and Knuckles, okay. Ouch. Pegel roguelikes, hell yeah. How long does it take?
Oh yeah.
What the fuck?
All right. Let's do it.
It's favorite game from Steam Next Fest. I didn't even end up playing the game. Oh my days, oh bonne mère. Oh, vas-y, c'est bon, c'est bon. Freaky bon, quoi. It's not that bad.
Take that.
Ouch. Cool. Nope. Doo-doo. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is stupid.
Ready?
Yeah, you should play the demo. The demo is very good. It will make you want to buy the game immediately. Yeah, it was. I bought the game immediately, I just haven't played it yet because I'm stupid. Oh yeah, they have a Switch 2 upgrade for it too, right? I also want to play so many games. And then I end up doing nothing. Because I'm stupid and depressed. Ouch! What the fuck? He was like high crushing my my moves. He was invincible. Nope. I think it's time, so I just have to like wait. Don't worry guys, we will all make it. Fight the bad guys, bro. Yeah, but the next set of enemies are destroying me. I have to do this without elemental damage. Without using my fire breath. It's impossible to fight it. They just fucking fuck you up. I think that's my exit. Let me in.
Well, that was fun.
Okay, now we can go. Anyone else? The retro achiever. Guys, you have to give me some ways to buy a Wiimote and a nunchuck that actually works. I think I need to buy official ones, I think. But I don't want controllers that are like Cheetos flavored, you know? So I have to find one that like people actually took good care of it. You got a good set from eBay? Maybe I should look in eBay. And I think I need a Bluetooth dongle. Right? I need a Bluetooth so I can play it on my PC. And then a sensor bar. And there's so many Wii games I want to stream. You know, most of my time I don't play games because I'm like, yeah, I'm going to wait until I stream it. And then I don't end up playing anything. Because I don't want to stream. I mean, couch, I totally agree. I got an American Arsonist controller, and that shit was so stiff. It's like someone put glue in every button. And then I got a controller from Japan, and the cord was like super short, but at least it was like in super good condition. I use it to play Super Paper Mario. I tried Look, but it was very weird. I tried to play Silent Hill Shattered Memories with like a gyro, but it was very scuffed for me. Maybe for other games that don't require the kind of precise stuff that Silent Hill requires. Super Paper Mario is not an RPG, right? Oh my god. Ouch! Am I stupid? Tout vu à chaque fois. Well, that's economical. How is this level fucking 1 hour and 40 minutes, bro? Holy shit, he got destroyed. Okay, oops. Is there any secrets? Well, I've been here. Alright. Wait, there's so much stuff here. Yay! Okay, first. Thank you for pushing me. Where am I? Okay. No. Man, there's 3 games of this.
I have to admit, you've done better than I thought possible.
Ah, saying that had to hurt.
More than you can imagine. There are some things you should know about the shrine before you enter.
And I think we're done here.
Not before we rescue Cyril.
The Atlawa shrine has been desecrated. And the god of the shrine
hate
has
David
not
Spade.
been given tribute since Cinder's forces arrived. But if you can subdue his anger, the balance will be returned, and my people can come home.
That's fine, but I came to free Cyril.
You must go through the god of the shrine to free him.
Knew you were gonna say that.
Okay. But there was stuff here, yeah? Level up. Okay, so I guess it's time to upgrade this. Okay. Oh no, I'm running out. Oh shit, okay. He's pain. Good one! My bridge! Boss fight time!
Be careful. Remember last time.
I know, but Cinder left and I don't see any Ice Kings hanging around this place. When will I learn? When things look good, run for the hills.
I love how they made Sparks a wisecracker. This is such a product of its time, it's crazy. Well, if it was a modern product, Sparks would just not stop talking all the time. And it will tell you the weak spot of an enemy. Okay, can I... No. Ouch! Yo, secret tech! No damage? Okay. Oh. No! No! No!
Better be a bit more careful.
That sucks. Did we win?
You have subdued the god of the shrine, restored balance to seasons, the land, our world. The Adlauers want to worship you now.
Worship? Okay, now that's what I'm talking about. I've never gotten the respect I deserve, the praise that should be mine.
That's very nice, Kane, but we have to get back to our home. Figure out how to stop Cinder for good.
My dear Outlaws, I am the mighty Spark, scourge of the despots.
Yes, old boy, we'd like nothing more than to stay and be a part of your primitive barbaric society, but duty calls, duty calls.
If you must, you must. But know that you're now part of the Atlawa tribe. One of us.
I am the mighty Spark... Whatever.
By the way, you were right.
About what?
Maybe two heads are better than one. Even if one of them belongs to an annoying mosquito.
Mosquito me? Is that... Oh.
So each level is going to take 1 hour and a half. Every time. Oh my god.
Yes, Voltaire, I see that months of tortured captivity have done nothing to slow that electric tongue of yours from incessantly wagging.
It's just that it's
Oh no, he's
so
British.
exciting, exhilarating, enchanting, enthralling, and
All right, no more thesaurus for you, pal.
all of you, please be quiet. It is certainly encouraging that Spyro has been able to free two of you to allow this reunion. But haven't we forgotten someone?
Yes, of course. Terrador.
Precisely. Now, how do we proceed?
I believe I can help, Igniters. Well, young chap, since you learned a few things about ice on tall plains, I suggest we adjourn to the training room so that I can teach you some more. The legacy of the great ice dragons of yore. My ancestors, who come from the best of this somewhat bedraggled
Couch
lineage,
would rather
is long and
pay
storied.
$80 for Mario
With my
Kart World.
help, rescuing
Pas de
Terrador
bonanza.
should be a certainty.
Your pomposity, arrogance, and pretentiousness is odious to the extreme.
Shall we?
Spyro, come here.
Anyone here is going to get Wolverine?
Certainly fire and electricity are nice sidelights, but now, young dragon, you will learn the secrets of ice, a power worthy of the elite.
Okay.
Beginner's luck, I'd say.
Come over here.
No, that
Ah,
simply
shit.
will not do.
Over here.
Even a completely blind dragon finds success once in a while.
This way, oh Mauve one.
What happened?
Back for more?
Spyro, come here.
Oh.
Check that out! Come over here.
That's kind of sick.
Yes, that's it.
I want to play Diddy Kong Racing so bad. I heard it was the inspiration for Crash Team Racing. Man, Ice Power sounds OP. Oh shit! Oh shit! Holy, I destroyed their existence.
You have mastered the element of ice, something few can burst.
He ulted.
So what exactly are you saying, Igniters?
Yes, your hypothesis is an intriguing one, but it is perplexing to the extreme.
Huh? He says he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Dude, I never know what he's saying.
What I'm saying is that Cinder is harnessing the Guardian's power to unlock a portal that must never be opened.
Why? What's behind this portal?
And that doesn't concern you right now. What does concern you is getting to Munitions Forge and freeing Terrador before she can create another crystal from his powers.
And before the volcano blows, it's... That's enough, Voltaire. There's plenty of time. Plenty of time.
Plenty of time where we need more time to have horrible things happen to us? Why didn't we just stay in Tall Plains? Oh, I'm a big deal there.
Quit complaining, Sparks. Maybe there's a tribe on Munitions Forge you can save too.
Yeah, but there's always something special about the first tribe you save. You know?
Where is this near? I don't know if it's a bug or if it's like
Forge is an island dominated by
how it is.
Pacific, an unstable volcano that makes life on the surface very dicey. The locals who live underground have been forced to mine the metals that Cinder uses
was a
to
bug,
forge
okay.
her army's weapons.
But what are the locals called?
They're called manwismos.
Right. Do I need to write that down?
Rumor has it that Cinder is holding Terrador somewhere in the mines. We know she's
What is happening
using
here?
him to power the last of the crystals she needs to open the portal. Free him before she gets the chance.
Boy, is it big.
Boy, it's big. But no time for sightseeing, Sparks. Time to get serious. Let's go.
Not again!
Loading. Hello, Nightingale. How's it going? I'm in a war zone. Let me see. Can I level up? Oh, hell yeah. It's Legend of Spyro on the PS2. Well, it's like upscaled on the emulator and everything, but yeah. It's an entire trilogy of games on PS2 and Wii. And I think the last game was on PlayStation 360 also. And it's not a platformer, it's a hack and slash. Inspired by Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I think maybe it was inspired by God of War. I don't know if it was like before or after God of War. But yeah, it's a lot of fighting. Fighting is all you do pretty much. They saw Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings, they were like, oh my god, we have to do this. Okay. Yeah, new Ghost in the Shell is great. Play FF6, you should play FF6, it's a great game. OG RE4 and DMC3, yeah. Legendary games. I had so much fun. I could replay Resident Evil 4 forever. It's that good. Mika Mikino, so true. I think FF6 might have been my first. No, it was FF7. But I could never finish it because I was stuck like... do you remember that screen before the wall market? Where you have to like find a way to go up? I was too young, so I couldn't see the perspective that allowed me to go up to go to the wall market. I don't know if anyone remembers that screen. Where there's a crane. It was impossible for me. I couldn't understand. So I never finished the game at that time. But yeah, I finished the game like years later. So I think the first Final Fantasy game I finished was actually Final Fantasy VI. Yeah, that's also why I couldn't beat the game. Because once I managed to get past it, I put the game in my finger and then it couldn't come out. So we had to cut the disc with scissors. Because my finger was turning purple. Oh shit. My dad had to hold me down because I didn't want the disc to be cut. I was ready to lose my finger over this. So he had to hold me down and they cut the disc with scissors. FF7 haters, no way. Oh, FF6. Yeah, that's Ptidus. I don't know what's his problem. FF6 is a Kino. The gameplay is not all that, I can agree. I enjoy watching AC. I think Adventure Children is a load of crap, but when I was young and I had the DVD of this movie, let me tell you, I watched this movie like 10 times. It's just I don't have whimsy in my heart anymore.
Man, he is small.
What's that? Who's there?
It's me, Spyro.
And the former god of tall plains, Sparks.
You don't carry this.
Ma whimsy is dirge of Cerberus.
We are. And who are you?
I think dirge is unironically good.
Leader of the Manwar Smalls. But I'm not much of a leader anymore. Those are
Well,
the
he's
people
French.
who aren't manning for Cinder are holed up in their caves, scared out of their little wits, waiting for Buzzard Big to blow. Which shouldn't be long. If you would help me free them, perhaps there's something I could do for you?
Sérieux?
I don't know. We're here to rescue a big friend of ours.
Is he a Mate Dragon?
Yes. Why?
I should speak like
Because
this.
I know where he's being kept. In the mines near a large labor camp, where my own brother, ex-humor, toils away. We can help each other.
Well, which way do we go? What should we do next?
Oh, it's simple enough, but we've got to hurry. Buzzard Big is getting more unstable by the minute. We must clear these caves before we can help your friend.
And you're asking him for
We
directions?
must clear these caves.
Wow, talk about blind leading the blind.
Forget him, Moliere. We're in.
I have to be honest, I don't even know how to do like an exaggerated French accent. Yes, and he also had it in Dissidia, when Dissidia was good, which means the PSP games. That's just your normal accent, thank you. That's what I wanted to know. Sacre bleu. I barely speak French on stream. Je ne sais plus parler français. Ouch. Gravity's my up. For real. What the fuck? I don't know how to speak French anymore. For years I speak more English than French, I have to be honest. Pepe Le Pew. I also speak more English than French. Louisiana has fallen. Look at this. Come to Baton Rouge. Yeah, I would love to. If I ever go to the USA and I don't get shot by ice, I would love to go to Louisiana. You are more American than you think. That's the worst thing anyone said to me, I think. I am presumably French. What is this place? A burger.
You did it! You did it! 1,000 thanks! Oh,
You did it!
It was nothing.
Hey, no problem, pal.
Well, you did your part. Now I will do mine. Your friend is being kept in the center of the volcano, past the labor camp where my brother, ex-Humor, is working. Find him and let him know we're friends, and he'll tell you how to proceed.
How
to
will we
proceed?
know? Ex-humor.
Yeah, all you manners
Excuse-moi.
smalls look the same to me.
You will know him. Trust me. He's the most cantankerous, hard-nosed man we'll smell around. Whatever you
Final
do,
Fantasy
don't
Resonance
get on
looks
his
cool.
bad side.
Might be a cool game. What the fuck? Back then you could just play Parasite Eve on the PS3, PSP store. Now you cannot even play the game anymore. Sealed copy. Well, that's sealed. That's always super expensive, I guess. I have a copy of Parasite Eve. But I only have a 2-disc without the box. I got it for like $15 or something. But it was like 10 years ago. I think with COVID everything has turned more expensive because, you know, all the people who got into video games and retro gaming and stuff. You cannot get anything at a price now. What the fuck is happening? Yeah. COVID took everything from us. The COVID new gens. Holy shit. What the fuck is happening? Yeah, I think owning anything is a fool's errand now. And now a YouTuber makes a video about a video game and the price of a game ends up being $150. Well, that's life. I should have spent my money collecting stuff 10 years ago. 15 years ago even. Atlus, look, Atlus was reprinting video games not even that long ago. Well, I've never been that much of a collector, honestly. And you know why? That's because of my mom. One day my mom, she wanted some space. She took out all the boxes of my PlayStation games and everything. She threw them away. She only kept the disc and then put them in the disc sleeve. So I only have a disc of my games now. She threw it all out. All my PS1 boxes, all my PlayStation 2 boxes, everything. She said, "Oh, we need space. You know, I come back from school, everything is gone." She didn't understand the value of what she threw. I was like, okay, well, it's over. But if I was getting mad, she would have beat my ass so bad. If I complained, she would have thrown me out. Il said sacre bleu. I said, oh, bonne mère. And then I dropped the argument. What the fuck is this? Cooked react. Would you guys stop typing cooked like this? We have a cooked emote, bro. I still do have some PlayStation 2 games that I bought after the fact. I still have my copy of Devil May Cry 3 Dante's Awakening. Not even Special Edition. Well, I think I might also have Special Edition. I have Rumble Roses. Roses? Oh shit. I have a Japanese version of God Hand. Gaming art books. Sometimes I want to buy some strategy guides, you know.
Look out, world.
Especially JRPGs. Thankfully, you can get some of them on the Internet Archive. Someone scanned them. Well, people scanned them. I think it's always cool, like, to play a JRPG and have like a guide on the side. Especially if you already played the game. You know, see what you missed. The game FAQs is like the best, you know, game facts, but you know, I like the way it's presented in strategy guides, Brady games, yeah. I didn't have Brady games for Kingdom Hearts 2. I got 100% in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 on my own, I think. I'm pretty sure. You know, I got the Ultima weapons for Kingdom Hearts 2. Good times. I think I have like 90 hours on my Kingdom Hearts 2 save. And I still haven't played Final Mix. Sick. Keatonville, that is so weird. As if, like, I don't know, Kingdom Hearts fans are losing their mind online. Saying Kingdom Hearts 2 wasn't like fun until Final Mix makes no sense to me. I'm sure that Final Mix is not even that much of a difference, bro. Like, you have dodging or whatever, it's like, this doesn't change like the core of the game being like the same. I think we are doing this because they're Kingdom Hearts 3 fans and they're like trying to do revisionism to like win an argument in their head. But no, Kingdom Hearts 2 was like sick. It made a great game even better. It didn't like fix anything. I don't think Final Mix fixed anything. But I'm waiting to play the game to have an opinion. Like I played Kingdom Hearts 2, but I haven't played Final Mix. But we'll see. Kingdom Hearts 3 should be strapped to a nuke aimed at the moon. I like how you think. I like how you think. Kingdom Hearts 3 fans are like Death Stranding 2 fans. You mean couch? I swear if Kingdom Hearts actually kept their schedule of like doing KH1, KH2, KH3 and they didn't spend like 15 years on spin-offs on like handhelds, it would still be like a generational series. Like we won't even have these arguments. It's just the time between Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3 was too much. It was too much. Way too much. It was like 10 years too late. We didn't need Birth by Sleep, we didn't need a Dream Drop Distance or whatever. But, you know, credit where credit is due. They did a good job with the remastered collection to get people on board. That is a good, that's like the next best thing they could have made. I think most Kingdom Hearts fans today that are like still like tuned in are like people who came in from the remastered collection. Can you guess? Okay. He didn't want to die. King DDD? That's true. Okay. Where are you going? Hell yeah. Oh yeah, the DLC is like stuck to Switch 2, bro. That's so... Okay, whatever. I guess I'll have to replay the game on Switch 2. I never finished it, to be honest. One day there will be a Kirby. Do not say the French way. Kirby marathon stream. It will be awesome. Kirby Marathon. Yeah, the Yoshi Shinkawa art for Ghost in the Shell was very good. Good to see he's still getting work. No, Kojima's going full AI. That's funny. I trust Kojima.
I bet you can't ring that bell.
Why would I want to?
Oh, you're scared.
I'm not scared.
Oh, the big special dragon is scared of the mean old bell. Oh, I didn't know that. I'm sorry. Oh, no. I'm sorry, baby. Why don't I get your pillow? You lay down.
Oh shit.
Spyro, can you hear me? Are you okay, buddy? Hey, listen, forget about those cracks I made about your fatness and your being purple and stupid and fat. All right? Just get out of there, please, Spyro. Don't be dead.
It's him.
Did you say something?
Me? No. No, I was talking out loud, thinking of my day I gotta do.
Well, just thought I heard something before I blasted my way out.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no. Must be hearing things.
What does he do? I have a crack team of Slenderers in my chat. They never stop. Wait, I think there's some... Oh yeah. No. Oh yeah, Gen Atlas is going to be so good. I'm so excited. Game so good I'll even buy it on the Epic Store. Epic Store? Ooh.
Come on, you worthless waste of flesh, let's go. We gotta hop on Steam and get back to that flea-bitten dragon. The crystal should be almost ready, and the volcano's right on the brink.
Minecart
Come on,
section?
Sparks, we've got to catch them.
What the hell? Oh, wait. This shit's gonna blow. Okay. This guy died of ligma. No, what happened to me? Haven't watched Dune. I should.
You don't know how to drive this thing.
How hard can it be? It's on rails.
Oi, famous last words.
Yo. No, this is Elijah Wood. Okay. Holy shit.
Not in this lifetime, pal.
Is there something I should press? Okay, this is scary. Yeah, it was super loud. Look at this sequence.
Come on, you wretched bad Okay, that's it. Playtime's over.
Okay.
You're making me mad.
What the hell is this sequence? Whoa, I don't understand.
First class or dead? Knock me off my track.
It's gonna happen again. I don't understand. I think I have to speed up, I guess. J'ai un super moment.
Master, you fools!
I was there.
You wish you could get this. Not in this lifetime, pal. Faster, faster, faster.
What the hell is this sequence, man?
You'll never catch us, Purple Boy.
I'm gonna speed up and see what happens.
End of the line.
Okay. It was a survive segment, I guess? At least they tried to spice things up, even though this segment was like kinda scuffed as hell. fucking time.
Got to remember my training.
When Bloom. There's not that much of Bloom here, at least. But yeah, there's some games where Bloom is like insane. Yeah, there is a bit of Bloom with like, when it's like very bright. But it's not overexposed. Yeah. Half the screen is Bloom. Okay, maybe I don't understand Bloom as you do. Yeah, it's just because the lava is bright. Oh yeah, they added Bloom to Wind Waker, yeah. The Bloom in Twilight Princess is so fucking intense, it's actually stupid. But if you take it out, the game doesn't look like anything. So it's very... You cannot take it out, you know? You remove like 70% of the visual identity of Twilight Princess if you take out the Bloom. It's actually nuts. No! Okay. Die. But yeah, Twilight Princess needs the Bloom. The Wind Waker added Bloom, I don't know why. I mean, I guess they did some like good changes about like the pacing of like Wind Waker. But visually it's kinda scuffed. But I do... What the fuck? I do think like Twilight Princess HD is also kinda scuffed, honestly. Oh, fuck am I supposed to go? Live Alive is like HD 2D, but it doesn't have a lot of like post-processing effects. It actually looks good. So yeah, this might actually be like a good plan, you know? Is that what we want me to do? Shit. Come on. Oh, thank you. No. Shortcut. Okay. Nice.
Wait, we're on your side.
Yeah, Jean Atlas looks so good.
Spies for the conductor, or that flying beast, Cinder.
No, Moliere sent us.
My brother is alive.
He sure is, pal. He's all safe and sound. But I gotta say, he's the friendly one in the family.
I'm sorry. In these dark times, one can't take chances. So, Moliere is alive. Oh,
Moliere.
Wonderful news. But why did he send you here?
Well, he said you might be able to tell us where our friend Terrador is.
If he's a big dragon, I certainly can. The majority of the Manwir Smalls are kept here in this camp.
This
Forced
little
to
purple
leave
freak,
above
nah.
ground and mine for Cinder. And there are rumors that your dragon
He looks
friend is being kept somewhere
deranged
inside,
in this game.
in the darkest pits of the volcano.
Looks like
All of us.
the Dragon Joker.
Not if we have anything to say about it.
What do you mean?
Except he's voiced by Elijah Wood.
I mean, we're going to free the Manwir Smalls, venture to the darkest pits of Boisetbig, and find Terrador.
Then, it's off to karaoke.
The most looking insane looking is Sparks.
All right, let's do it.
This one is actually nuts. Okay, what the fuck do we want me to do? Okay, my PC is going to explode from this. For sure. Oh my god. Is there another one? Get up. No. fucking die. This whole game is just hack and slash. Literally only fighting. And a man card section, I guess. Do you want me to do something else? Yay! Okay.
Well, I see you two crazy kids found each other.
Yes, at last.
Thanks to you.
We're just disappointed you didn't leave any fun for us.
Maybe next time.
Chad, do I
now,
speak like
which
this?
way to Terrador?
That way, but be careful. The conductor and his maniacal locomotive will surely be
Locomotive.
close by.
When you say be careful, does that mean try not to die? I'm trying to do that anyway.
Come, ex-humor. We must get all the man-with smurls underground, where they belong.
Yes, it won't be long now.
Where are you guys go? What the? Let's try this one. Holy shit. This is a shotgun. What the fuck? You die. I lived. How long was the last time they saved them scale? Alright. No! I lived. I have no idea what just destroyed me. Should be fine enough. What am I doing with my life? There's 3 of these games. I wonder if the sequels are going to improve on the formula a lot. Or no. Insane. The fuck? Okay.
Here we go.
Dude, we do so much damage.
It's okay. We can try again.
You do not take any damage? Oh, okay. This move is hot. When's the last time it sailed? Oh. Any more of these? No. It's like the nest. Can you... Hello? Let's use this. I'm inside. Okay. What about this? I'm fucking stuck. Maybe I could climb up? No. What? Can I go inside, dude? Like... They still won't open. What? Okay. I got myself. Okay, any more of this game, I'm gonna lose it, alright? It's like 7 AM soon, I have to get ready anyway. Anyway, see you later, okay? Have a good day, everyone. Enjoy your night. Thank you. See you later.